Yo there, Internet, MegaMogwai here, and I got another Legends of Runeterra video for you guys today. And today we shall condemn broccoli, as we are going to showcase the most carnivore of decks and the one that features the harshest or cruelest of realities. We're going to build the Dragon Chow deck, the ultimate Dragon Chow deck, combining Demacia and Targon. Dragon Chow is a new card that was introduced with the Shurima expansion that is a 1-mana 0/3 that says when you play a dragon, it strikes me and you draw 1. Yeah, you see this guy that's super happy and just loving life and everything. Well, sometimes you got to take a look at the full picture. And yeah, this is actually like low key. I think this is the darkest art I've ever seen in a card game. And I'm including Gwen. Gwen has, like, you know, Vilgefort's burning Regis' face off and shit. This is darker for me. Because, you know, in that photo, like, Regis is already in pain. This guy's not in pain, but he's about to be in, like, less than a sec. God, man. Riot. Very bad. Very, very bad. But obviously going to use it for the thumbnail, as today, like I said, we are going to feature a deck that can utilize this well. Obviously, Dragon Chow is intended to support dragon tribal decks, right? So instead, I think there's more than one way to build around SHYVANA. I've seen people experimenting with SHYVANA and Jarvan, which I think is a pretty neat champion combination as well. I think SHYVANA goes beyond dragons easily, right? You can just run a few specific dragons, and leveling her up is more about utilizing cards like Strafing Strike and, you know, rallies and single combats than anything else. So having that said, we're taking the full dragon route because I wanted to build a deck around Dragon Chow, and I think there's a lot of neat tools that we have. I think this archetype is finally complete. I remember when we got Targon, kind of like how we have like the first part of Shurima now, right? When we got the first part of Targon, we got a bunch of dragons, but we didn't get SHYVANA or anything. So people were asking, Miguel, build a dragon deck. And I'm like, I just don't think there are enough cards yet. And now we're finally in a position where this archetype is actually pretty legit. Now, there's a few things that I'm going to talk about in this deck tech in regards to optimizing this list, because this list can be modified depending on what you run into, and I'll talk about that later down the line. But first, let me explain what we're doing here. So we have a mid-range list, right? A list that tries to play on curve. We do have a full set of Herald of the Dragons, which means that this variant of dragon is... we're trying to high roll a little bit. And what I mean by that is that we're going to be mulliganing pretty aggressively to make sure that we find an early curve of either Dragon Chow or Herald of the Dragons, because the ideal curve is turn 1 Chow, turn 2 Herald of the Dragons, shoo, no Vile Feast ever, and then turn 3, we play SHYVANA. And SHYVANA with Dragon Chow is really interesting because due to the recent buff to SHYVANA, which gives her Fury, you actually can grow as you kill Dragon Chows. If you play 2 Dragon Chows and you play SHYVANA on curve, SHYVANA will hit the first one for 3 and the second one for 4, which means she will progress 7 in her level up requirement, and the next hit that she deals, she will level up immediately. So without having to attack and get the +1/+1 boost. Like, it's pretty, I think it's not a coincidence. It plays out like that, and it really makes it so that even if you draw multiple cards with Dragon Chow, you know, the lack of tempo that you'll be missing, you don't really miss tempo. You're playing a 1-drop and then you're losing it, right? But the thing about Dragon Chow, the key to really getting value out of this card is to actually make use of the stats, the body, before it dies. You know, obviously you have to adapt to the matchup. If you're facing Shadow Owls or Piltover, then try not to let him take damage, because then they can ping him away. But in other matchups, they don't have access to that stuff, and Dragon Chow can just be used as a way to buy a little bit of time, you know, prevent a little bit of damage, and then provide us with the Fury value. As the rest of the deck, we have Dragon Guard Lieutenant, a very solid 2-drop that you must run as a full set. And, like, the 2-mana Fiora now, which is kind of sad. Really, really good at this deck for obvious reasons. We have a 1-off of Eggeherd Researcher, and then we play Herald of the Dragons to try to, you know, turn 3 onwards, ramp into our dragons. We have a full set of SHYVANA with a couple of White Flame Protectors to fill in that 4-mana slot. And we're doing the same with our 5-drops. We have 3 Fused Firebrands and 2 Screeching Dragon. Now, this may be a little bit confusing because people generally believe Screeching Dragon is ultimately just better every single time over Fused Firebrand. And I actually disagree that in this deck, Fused Firebrand is actually better. Why? Because unlike other Demacia decks, in this one, we have a pretty obscene amount of striking. And what I mean by that is we have a full set of Soul Combat, a full set of Strafing Strike, and even a one-off of Concerted Strike to boot. We have 7 different cards that strike. That means that having a unit, a big beefy unit with Spell Shield makes these spells significantly more reliable, and thus makes Fuse Firebrand an overall a little bit better of a 5-drop in this build than Screeching Dragon through personal experience. Sorry about that. Even though, you know, Challenger is always great, especially in conjunction with Fury, Fuse Firebrand is just so damn underrated and so good in this deck that it is the one that I'm running as a full set of. We have a one-off of Jarvan, which may throw you off. You're like, why not 3 copies of Aurelion Sol, especially when you're running 3 copies of Eclipse Dragon? Well, the reasoning is because I never really found the need to play triple Aurelion Sol. Drawing multiple copies of Aurelion Sol in this deck feels terrible. And having a one-off of Jarvan goes a long way. He's won me so many games. It makes me think maybe there should be more copies of him. But it also does explain why people are combining SHYVANA with Jarvan. Because the thing is, there's not as much direct synergy with Jarvan in this deck. It's not like the Braum deck with Freljord that we showcased a few days back. In this deck, Jarvan kind of like levels up just because our units are so big and they have Fury. So they're just constantly, you know, like... our opponent has to try to chump block us, right? So we force our opponent into leveling up Jarvan, basically. We have also Guiding Touch and Sharp Sight, very neat combat tricks. Guiding Touch very easy to find a target for in this deck since we have very high health units that need healing, or if not, it can be used into our own Nexus because there's a lot of burn in the ladder, right now, which is what I'm going to talk about, like the last part of this deck tech. We have a one-off of Relentless Pursuit and Hush. We have a one-off of Dragon Guard Lookout. People may be confused and ask, why are you not playing just 2 copies of Relentless Pursuit? Because I do like, you know, how cheap Relentless Pursuit is for a rally effect, which a lot of times we do need that kind of play for this deck, but we also can significantly benefit from Dragon Guard Lookout because it gives us a body. And a lot of times, you know, we're in a situation in which both of us have run a little bit out of gas, and having a rally effect on top of a body makes it so that this card alone is doing much more than Relentless Pursuit, even though we're paying more for it. It's more taking the late game into account and us being less dependent on mana and more on actually getting the most value that we can out of our cards individually. So that makes sense, right? That's why we're playing Dragon Guard Lookout as a one-off in this deck and a one-off of Relentless Pursuit. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the deck list right there. The last thing that I'm going to say is that this deck can be tweaked because there's a lot of aggro and burn in the ladder right now. And this particular version of the deck is not the best geared for that. If you're running into a lot of that, you can modify the deck a little bit and start incorporating like a 3rd Guiding Touch. You can even justify like running Radiant Guardians instead of like Screeching Dragons, for example, or maybe take out a few of these and add in some Radiant Guardians. Maybe Star Shaping as well if you want to try that too. Like, this deck can be flexible in that regard. You can take out some pieces, add in others. It depends on what you're running into. This is very important. People ask me regarding deck building. This is the most important aspect of deck building in card games. Metagames are fluid. It's not something stale. It's like a river, right? Like water. Bruce Lee would say something like that. So basically, it's constantly shifting, moving, changing. Kind of like life itself. Life is not something static. You know, we're oceans of a billion, trillions of cells, right? And we're constantly moving and changing. We feel different every moment. Well, the same goes with card games. I dove way too deep into that. But I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. Modify your list. Adapt to what you see. You know, and the better you get at that, the better you will be overall in card games. This is one of the most important skills to have as a ladder player, in my opinion. Though I think it's pretty much a fact. So keep that in mind. And yeah, without further ado, I got some pretty sweet games for you guys today. I think you're going to enjoy them, and I think you're going to like this deck. For those of you who are looking forward to a dragon deck, then you're welcome, I guess. What is this outro? Love ya. Have a solid day. Stay tuned for daily Legends of Runeterra content. I do post a new deck every single day. Unless it's April Fool's, then I just post some Pokemon for whatever freaking reason. And yeah, have a good one. I'll see you around. Okay. This is the kind of matchup in which I would like perhaps a 3rd source of rally. That could go a long way. We do have the Egghead Researcher. I definitely don't want to mulligan this away. Am I going to mulligan away everything else? I mean, the thing about Eclipse Dragon into Aurelion Sol is that a lot of times by turn 8, things are already really bad. So I'm going to mulligan away everything, including the Guiding Touch, trying to see if I can find some of the nut draws, right? Like, for example, the Herald of Dragons to curve into SHYVANA. Or Dragon Chow.
You can see the Devastian border from here.
Dragon Chow works too.
With a little time, I'll have a breakthrough.
This is a great counter. Like, we can just block here. Yeah, he draws a card, but we remove the board, the unit from the board, so we get rid of a pesky blocker. We play Tragedy. Tragedy goes in. I don't want to play into an avalanche. I could attack with this, dealing 1, but then he could play something like SHYVANA. So I'm gonna pass the SHYVANA, the Lissandra. Even though we do have the Dragon Guard Lieutenant, the avalanche right there was too threatening. Now we have access to SHYVANA with sharp side backup. We can go SHYVANA into Screeching Dragon or Fused Firebrand. It depends on what my opponent does. Because generally speaking, I prefer Fused Firebrand. Ooh.
You must have some unique insight for dragons.
Most are cruel, vicious, and deadly.
No threat of ruination, correct? Yes. I could play you and you. I could also just play you. I mean, what can he play here? If he plays, he could have Vengeance. Let's try to not play into AoE. I think Fused Firebrand is just best.
I've never seen a specimen without wings before.
Because both of these attackers now will overpower a Trundle. And that's something to consider. We have Jarvan in hand as well. We haven't been able to work for his level up, but it's not our fault really. It's the fact that our opponent just didn't really play any units. He played an Avros and, you know, Sentry, and that's pretty much it. We're playing Dragon. Both of these, when SHYVANA attacks, should be a 5/6. That's what I mean by both of them being able to overpower Trundle, right? And I will also be pushing for a level up as well, as I'll be going over over the requirement.
These are trolls.
There he is. A Troll Chant, if you were to play it, because he can't Three Sisters into Flash Freeze. Woo!
Now I take to the sky.
Angry Lizard Woman is inside, ladies and gentlemen. I repeat, she's inside. We're looking for a Jarvan open attack next turn. I think setting up the Dragon Guard Lieutenant makes the most sense, because that still leaves me open to a SHYVANA.
Knock 'em dead.
He could have a Three Sisters into a Fury of the North, but I would actually like to see that play. Yeah, because that's a big play. That's a lot of mana. Yeah. Leaving him at 5, which means I can very easily set up a very nasty attacking board state here. The question is, how do I approach it? I think it has to be... I mean, the thing is, Dragon Guard Lieutenant gets fucked over by Avalanche. He still has the ability to Avalanche. But I can still Sharp Sight. And this allows me to challenge Trundle and just smack him with everything.
Lieutenant, have you brought a specimen from the field?
We let you keep the egg. Be content with that.
Take the chill off. Where's my journal?
Here we go.
I will fight for Demacia till the day I die.
We're going in. Having SHYVANA in our hand is very important because it could be our way to survive a turn from the Watcher if our opponent found a way to do it. I could try to represent Lethal here. That would prevent them from being able to play the Ice Pillar. But at the same time, if I do that, I could force something out of him here. May as well try to do it, right? Let's go for it. I'm just thinking of the downsides of doing this because I'm expecting an answer. Or not! Or not, baby! Overthinking much?
Burn all in dragon fire.
Burn all in dragon fire! There we go. Nice. So basically, that was the play to go for, right? But I was thinking, is there a way, because 8 mana can translate to something like a Withering Wail plus a SHYVANA. I keep calling her SHYVANA, Lissandra. Like, I wanted to do that to get him under 8 so he couldn't play the pillar. I was just trying to navigate around like I said, a watcher kill, because all they really need is like Spectral Matron in their hand, and they can enable it like super fast, right? But as long as I had the extra copy of SHYVANA, I could go for the signature spell and shuffle a SHYVANA in my deck after my opponent obliterated it to buy me 1 turn, which should be enough to kill them. We saw Jarvan like actually put in the work there. Even though he's just as a one-off, he can really help us out, especially in matchups in which we need to step up the pedal a little bit. English? Step on the pedal. There we go. We didn't draw any of our rallies, but overall that was a good showcase of a game. And we didn't draw Herald of the Dragons as well, you know? So showcasing that, you know, we don't need to like actually high roll to win with this, which is neat. We did see the cruel reality of the deck, though. It's so sad, man. All right, round 2. Okay. Frostbites are scary. Frostbites are definitely concerning. We have Dragon Chow. I'm gonna mulligan away everything else though, because these dragons are a bit too expensive for my taste. We see Jarvan there. No dragon though, so Dragonguard Lieutenant is not enabled, but I do have a couple of turns, a couple of draws to change that. And in this deck, that generally isn't a problem. Alright, Dragon Chow. I choose you.
Nothing like the great outdoors.
The skies darken with their approach.
Have a mushroom. Have 3.
I've heard about you.
Surprise, no pings, but I can't capitalize on it.
I got ways to find me mushroom.
They were forged in dragon fire.
Look out! Don't let them through!
My pretty.
Yeah, he's worried about sharp sight, which makes sense. Man, we finally draw something.
The summit's final trial.
We have access to double single combat if needed.
Excuse you.
And ooh, okay. That's pretty good.
2, 3, 4.
He could have a static shock, is what I'm concerned about.
Come hither, you beasts of glory.
Time for a true display of skill.
I never use my goggles either.
Dragon blood, Demacian heart.
Let the blood boil, half dragon.
Armed and ready.
No way.
Jarvan, right?
For my father, the king, no quarter!
The spell shield really comes into play here, allowing us to... Okay, he has to bop that. I think I'd rather survive the block to work for the Jarvan level up. Yeah. But I mean, this translates into way more damage, right? Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I mean, that's a 12. It's 2 damage. Is that? I mean, that 2 damage can go a long way. But I slowed down Jarvan's level up. I don't know how relevant that is, honestly. I'm gonna go with this. Yeah. You can't frostbite anymore. I'm too thick. No Bird of Steel here.
Nowhere to
2 extra damage.
none like me.
Her solo animation is so sick. I'm not that used to it because it accounts for Jarvan's level up anyways. Okay, that's kind of weird though. Oh, strikes from blockers. It's technically blocker. It's a blocker, so it's striking back. Okay, that's very important to know. Oh, is that a Dragon Guard lookout with single combat backup? Is it Christmas? Or maybe even better. No. Let's do this.
We won't be caught unaware.
I'm attacking with everything. Even the Herald of the Dragons. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Inferior design.
As foretold.
Very low, and we go at it again.
System upgrade.
Bear me! Roast them! They're coming! They're coming! And they came, or they arrived. That's better. So my quotes are terrible. That was a pretty sick game too. I was I was legitimately concerned about the frostbites. Frostbites are very dangerous, very efficient against us, right? But we have very thick units, which really nullifies. Like it makes Bird of Steel harder to find value or to dodge for us, and we just outmuscled them, man. Like he also had to respect the sharp side. That wasn't a bad play on his part, even though you can argue that you have to go for it. But if I have a sharp side there, with like that's the beautiful thing about Dragon Chow as well. Dragon Chow with sharp side, like he becomes a 2/5, right? So a surprise blocker that knocks out pretty much most early, if not all, early game elusive units, or the majority of them, is really, really neat. Like it commands respect. Generally speaking, with Dragon Chow, you want to make use of his stats. If you can sponge a hit right before he gets heated, then you do it, because at the end of the day, you got 3 health to use before he goes down. And sometimes people can forget that, right? But that's where you truly achieve. Like that's where you really get value out of this card. Yeah. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let's go for another one. No life. How do you kill that which has no life? We're gonna try. I like the Dragon Guard Lieutenant. I'm gonna mulligan away everything else. There we go. In this scenario, we don't want to block with it, because the tracker will eventually get Challenger. We're gonna wait.
Push back the darkness. We wear red.
2-1 to the fold, and now we trade. Lucian has to be respected, because this deck is really efficient at leveling up Lucian. So we have to do our very best to just answer him every time.
But Sharima lives forever.
And
Destiny calls.
now we do make use of the stat.
In Sharima's name. Look lively! Dragons are here!
I love a 4-mana dragon though. Come on! We're gonna apply a lot of pressure with our Dragon Guard Lieutenant. We're gonna force our opponent to block there. Sorry, to pass. And then we're gonna play the Fused Firebrand. Or maybe the Screeching Dragon. Like, what am I worried about him, like, Screeching Dragon is better, right? Like, yeah.
Don't get in my way.
Well, that's spooky. There's an argument for me waiting, but
Together we are part of something more. Together you are children of
I think we may get wrecked here.
This is mercy.
Oh god. Dead?
Arise! Shariva is send and scout.
I think we're dead.
Past and present.
I think we're actually dead. We needed more interaction. The fact that we can't answer this Lucian. I'm not an expert at math, but I'm dead.
I'll sleep when they're dead.
Man, Lucian's so good in this deck. It's so good. Yeah. Good game. Need rallies. Oh my god, dude. We were too slow. Even though we played the Dragon Guard Lieutenant well early on, honestly, I believe missing our four drop dragon was a massive deal, and also interaction. Next time I face a deck like that, I'll definitely try to mulligan more aggressively for single combats and the likes to be able to just deny Lucian, because yeah, you see how efficient, like, that's, and it's really cool how he managed to level him up, right? Like, because he there's a lot of synergies going into play right there, right? Like the fact that he generated a scout unit that allows him to trigger a Azir twice. You know, stuff like that. That was a cool setup. Like, I have nothing bad, you know, because I feel like sometimes looking back at my videos, it feels like every time I lose, it's like, oh, they got lucky, or this matchup or that. Then that's nowhere near the case, right? Like, that was a good game, didn't go our way, and I really do like that deck. I think it's a cool deck, and the way it functions and everything. But it also is something to learn from, like I said. As when we counter it or we run into it in the future, we really want to fish for answers for Lucian. As long as we're able to answer Lucian, we stabilize well enough, I think. All right, round 4. Minas Morgul. I have no idea who this is, but they're playing Spider aggro. And we're gonna play Herald of Dragons into SHYVANA. Hopefully no Vile Feast. That's basically my hope.
Come hither, you beasts of glory!
Remember the objectives. For the glory of Noxus.
Dragon blood, Demacian heart.
Let the blood boil, half dragon.
That's a lot of damage.
Right at their foundation.
Come, face me. I smell fear.
Down 9, a little bit spooky, but
What's the fire breath this time?
A soldier should know to stay out of the way.
To arms!
There's nothing to fear.
Such pretty poison.
Guiding touch is really important. Every ounce of health matters.
Your path ends here.
I hope he doesn't have a Doom Beast.
Explosives prime.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. To counter Noxian Fervor. Ah, we got him! Nice! Nice! Whew! That guiding touch! That guiding touch MVP! I think I need 3. That game just makes me think I need 3. What do I take out though? That felt way too important. I was worried about the burn matchup. I was legitimately worried about the burn matchup because we don't have, even though we have 2 regions that are pretty good at healing, we're not focused on that because we're going pretty tribal. And part of me knows that that's a mistake. Man, guiding touch felt amazing there, and there's always targets for it in this matchup as well. I just don't know what to take because I like 13 as the number of spells that I'm carrying. I'm gonna leave it like this, but I would really like a 3rd guiding touch. Maybe I could take away the Ed-haired researcher, but he really does help in certain scenarios. They kind of fulfill the same purpose. Like he helps out against aggro anyways because he's an early unit, so I like him in that sense. All right, only 30 minutes in. Let's go for another one. Yo, why is everything burned? Everything is burned. The entire ladder is aggro. What the hell? I mean, that's not true for what we face, but it's a lot of aggro. We gotta certainly do something about it. And you, Riot has to make you less noisy. You're way too noisy.
I'm something of an aspiring trichologist.
Just gonna put this here. Time
Yeah,
to
just
go.
standard burn. Oh, we got guiding touch.
Shroud the world in wings.
Coming in hot.
If he attacks, I'll take 2 more damage, but I will utilize my Dragon Chow to block. As we drew the Herald of the Dragons a little bit late, but fortunately for us, we have a good place to make. I mean, it would have been nice to be able to drop Dragon Guard Lieutenant alongside our play, but
Humanity is obsolete.
and we got the bug. Fantastic. Silent SHYVANA.
Empire. For the glory of Noxus.
All right, come on, glorious,
Use.
glorious
Strengthen
Noxus.
their foundations.
Not the egg.
Come, face me.
Can I take this hit? I don't think I need to.
Ashes and stardust.
Every ounce of damage matters, so let's keep it that way. We don't get to play in Volius Fox, but that's fine.
What's the fire breath this time?
Because we got these lieutenants.
Stay out of the way.
Now dragon fire only What's the fire breath this time?
A soldier should know to stay out of the way.
Witness my true power.
Alright. I could go for the Strafing Strike, but I see no reason to. I have enough blocker for his attackers. I'd rather play reactively with these. And I don't know about playing in Volius Vox, it depends.
Make it deep. The age of dragons is begun.
Nah, I'm gonna do it. No matter what happens, I won't die this turn, and with double guiding touch in my hand, I feel really, really nice. Because these two effectively counter a Decimate for less total mana. And little by little, my opponent is running out of gas. Oh. Let's start picking off his... No. Again, reactive. He could have Noxian Fervors. Let's keep our options open.
Prepare for battle.
Maybe you need a closer look.
Get the fuck out of here. No. That's what everybody's doing today on the ladder. They're just trying to burn you. Everybody's just trying to like not play the game and just throw burst spells. Well, I'm not having it. None of it.
From the skies.
Guiding touch here to protect us against anything. Let's bury this burn player. Way below ground. There we go.
Dragons have no remorse.
Yeah. Okay. So we finish off the matchup against the... Yeah, we finished off the video going up against yesterday's deck, huh? Let's keep Dragon Chow and SHYVANA. I like double Dragon Chow. This is like the main reason why they changed, like, they buffed SHYVANA. Apparently, Fury for SHYVANA in her pre-leveled form goes against the lore, or the thematics, of her League of Legends counterpart. Maybe there's a world in which... Maybe there's a world in which we can play Herald of Dragons.
Flesh was weak, but look at me now.
Could have a parley or a thermogenic beam. Yeah. It's fine. It's alright. That thermo beam could have gone for a dragon. 3 ounces of damage matters.
Can you improve perfection? Once I stab papers, now faces. Prime and ready. Fire till nothing moves.
Shape the skies and mold the earth.
dragon's rage roars to
Safety disengaged. Join me if you want to live. Prime and ready. I am the future.
I smell fear.
Witness my true power!
My future. Safety disengaged. Inferior design.
Bam, bam. I'm gonna play the Drangar Lieutenant, but I want to carry over my spell mana, have my options. Like, we have a tremendous card advantage here.
I'm always up for a round or two. Mm-hmm. Dead in their tracks.
I'm gonna play the White Flame Protector into Drangar Lieutenant.
We wear red.
2-1 unfolding. 8 mana, no, 7 mana. Okay, we do have the ability to potentially even. I'm gonna play Eclipse Dragon. I can't go for that. Yeah.
They don't know what they're up against.
I can't go for the Strategy Strike because he still has mana to play Ezreal. Exactly. I know a thing or two about this deck. I'm gonna go for the Strategy Strike because it's more expensive anyways.
No way.
Okay, I like that hush.
Funny the hand lock deals you, don't you think?
Is a sharp tongue you've got there, River Snake.
The thing about Twisted Fate in this deck, because, you know, I built this deck, is you don't really have good ways of leveling him up, right? Like, he's there for, you know, his Destiny cards. And now we can flex a little bit. Woo! German! Get him!
Words make a ruler, but actions make history.
Yu-Gi-Oh! that was worth it. Well, this deck does pretty good against yesterday's deck. I'm gonna follow this pattern. Like, the deck that I built for the next day will counter the deck from before. That way you guys can capitalize on people who take too long to watch my videos and punish them. Scorched. I mean, I have Hush, so I can deny the Powder Keg. Goodbye, Jervin. Jarvan died. But we won. Nice. F's for Jarvan.